I'd like to welcome the first speaker, Patrice, who is one of the co-founders of the Black Lives Matter campaign. I'll let her tell you about the wonderful work that she's been doing.
My name is Patrice Cullors. I actually am the co-founder of the Black Lives Matter movement in the United States. Myself and two other black women started the movement after the acquittal of George Zimmerman, Trayvon Martin's murderer, a young black boy who was 17 years old who was murdered by a vigilante in his neighborhood in Florida. Black Lives Matter is a call to action. It's a call of reclamation. It's a call to push the United States of America, but also push the global context that systematically discriminates against black people across the globe. And so it's important for us in the Black Lives Matter movement that people here in the UK in particular, I was in Tottenham yesterday witnessing families who've been directly impacted by state violence, now here with students. And I think my call to you all is, what are you going to do? What have you been doing? How are you standing up for Black lives? How are you joining the conversation? We're in a moment, a historical moment in the US and I believe globally to push back for human rights, civil rights, and I think it's powerful.
I'd next like to invite Adam Cooper to the stage. So Adam was part of the protest that happened in Westfield a couple of weeks ago now, and one of the 74 that was arrested.
People aren't really, I don't know how aware people are of the level of deaths in police custody that we have here in the United Kingdom. On average, since 1991, one person a week has died at the hands of the British police, which is a fairly high statistic considering the police in this country don't have guns. So there's a lot of strangling, a lot of quite serious beatings and those kinds of things that have led to deaths at the hands of the police. One of the most recent cases that's taken place is the case of a young black woman who was beaten by police in Great Ormond Street Hospital. She was looking after her daughter who suffers with cerebral palsy, and she was washing her daughter, and she had a disagreement with one of the doctors, and she was asked to leave by hospital security. When she insisted that she wanted to continue cleaning her daughter and that she would leave once she had finished doing that, they called the police. The police actually came with a territorial support group. They're a section of the police who are known to be heavily armed, militarily trained, and have been indicted for many different reasons in their involvement in acts of brutality.
Hi there, my name is Nindo Bhattacharya. I'm from Defend the Right to Protest, which, as some of you may know, is an organisation that was set up a few years ago, primarily around the wave of student protests that happened then. It pretty much does what it says on the tin and defends the right to protest. But I wanted to talk a little bit about the connections between protest and the wave of repression and police repression and deaths in custody, particularly directed towards black people. We've been living for about 5 years now under an explicitly austerity government, and there's been lots and lots of different protests, either big ones or little ones to save your local surgery or hospital or whatever. And lots of people have been drawn into protesting against what the government's doing, and that's a learning curve, because people who go on protest swiftly discover how the police treats protesters and what they do to protesters, and they find out something about the function and the role of the police and the role of the courts. I mentioned that the Defend the Right to Protest was set up specifically around the student protests, but actually that connects to a history of police repression, of protesters and strikers and what have you, going back many, many years.
Speaking about the aims of our campaign, when Mark was executed on the 4th of August in 2011, and then on the 6th of August, Mark's family had to go and report his death to Tottenham police station because the police didn't even feel that his family were worthy enough of being informed that we've murdered your son, which it is the duty of the police to deliver the death message. We saw then, well, we've always known, we've grown up, I'm in a mixed race family, we've grown up, I've seen racism. My eldest sister is almost 60, her father is African. I've lived with her and brought up amongst racism, so we know and we have lived racism. One cause, justice, justice for all. Because if we don't get justice, if you don't get justice, what about your children? What about your next generation? What about your sisters? What about your brothers? This country is not getting better, it's getting worse because of the control. We are being controlled. Our human rights are trying to remove our human rights slowly. We're trying to move all of our rights. They make us believe we've got rights, and you believe you've got rights until you put them into practice, and then you realise you haven't really got them. So unity is the key in order to make change in this country. So no justice, no peace. Thank you.